Okay. Let's first of all give a nice round of applause to this man. Michael, Michaela, I mean, you called, I think you called me like a day or two before submission.
Yeah, I did.
You were like, are you still taking submissions? And they may have been, I don't know, I don't remember. They may have actually been like hours away from ending.
Yeah, it was definitely within 24 hours or so.
Right.
Yeah, I was working up until the end, and you know, you were the first on my list, and I just made it.
and it was funny because honestly, we watched films all throughout the submissions, and we had watched and chosen and said, well, we take them right up to the end, we watch them right up to the end, but we had already started making our schedule and said, okay, well, yeah, submit it, we'll watch it. We were all together, right? We were all together. So we watched some films together. We said, hey, we got this film, and he's local, and let's give it a watch. And we all four of us sat there going, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't a dry eye in that room.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta say, I hated the movie all 4 times I watched it. For me to cry in a movie is very rare, and I cried all 4 times. Actually, 5 today. This movie just gets me. So,
I'm glad they hit you.
Now, tell us where it came from, and tell us your story.
Okay. Well, I've been making short films for 17 years now with a partner of mine, Ethan Kornfeld, who ended up shooting this. And they're mostly 3 to 5 minute little SNL type skits, little short films, music videos used for entertainment purposes, for weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, things like that. And but this is really what I've always wanted to do. And I kind of put it off, and I put it off, and I was maybe scared to do it, and one day, this one over here, at 12 years old, cornered me, and she's like, "You're unhappy with what you do, and you got to do what you got to do." And so Michaela was the catalyst. It's her fault. So we just started on a very small story at that point, and I didn't even ask her to, but she jumped in and she started writing with me. Wow. And you see what you got.
Now, what made you push him like that? Was that at such a young age? How did you know to?
So I saw him writing in his office, like when this all happened, and I thought it was for his job. So I asked him, like, "Oh, what are you writing about?" And we ended up having like this long 2-hour conversation about these story ideas that he was writing. And I was just blown away of the ideas and stories he was writing, and I was like, "That's dumb. Why aren't you like trying to do something with it? And just instead of just making these short films, actually go bigger than you have already."
Wow, it's amazing how that kind of catalyst pushed you to do this after all these years.
Yeah,
I mean, because it clearly is what you should be doing, and I mean, directing this. And directing your, like, you did all of this, really. It's just, how did you know that you could do that?
You know what it is? I was really frustrated for those 17 years that I wasn't doing this. I went to film school. I did 2 years at Nassau, and I went to Binghamton, but Binghamton was an experimental film school. I didn't know that when I applied, and it was the only one that I got into or could afford. So when I came out of that, I was kind of disappointed that I never really got the film education that I really wanted. And that's not to put them down at all. It's just I wanted to go more commercial, more traditional. Mm-hmm. And you know, I just wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing. But when I looked back 17 years later with all these shorts that I'd done, I was writing, I was directing, I was doing some acting, I was editing, I was doing all these things for 17 years and honing my skills, and that became my film school.
Right.
And the fire was still there. It was almost out, but this one, you know, I threw some gasoline on it.
All the young people, remember that it was 17 years. That's a long, that's a long time.
And that's what I tell everybody, is don't wait till you're 42 to start, to finally take the chance, you know. And I did, and I'm lucky that I'm at where I'm at right now, but I'm just glad I finally did take the chance.
Yeah, so it's a testimony to what everybody can accomplish, and it's great. Now tell us about some of the locations.
If you count the interior of our car, which broke down in the middle of filming, by the way, we were at about 23 different locations across the island. Everything from obviously Montauk Point. Out we shot at the TWA Hotel at JFK Airport, which looks very much like it is an old terminal. And Adventureland and Fred's Deli, and I'll be honest, a lot of those places we went to, and we are asking forgiveness, not not permission. So you know, which is the golden rule with guerrilla filmmaking. So you know, we got in and got out to a lot of places, but a lot of places also offered their services. The Levittown Library was very instrumental and very cordial about having us come in and shoot for an entire day. During COVID, that was the other thing. We got shut down in the middle of all this, and we had like a 300-person in-person fundraiser planned at Levittown Hall for May of 2020. And we had everything ready, and our cast set, and the crew, but we had no money, and then COVID hit.
Right.
And so after waiting 42 years to do this, I almost took it as a sign from nature that I'm not supposed to do this. So I sunk down again a little bit, but got re-inspired. And we did an online campaign, a crowdfunding campaign. And we had well over 100 different contributions and raised around $30,000 to make the film. And that, between that and my executive producer, who I went to college with, Eric George, he was extremely generous with what he gave to the film. And like I said, all these companies came together throughout the Long Island, and Ocean Financial Credit Union, thank God they came around. We went to every bank on Long Island asking if we could rob them. And you know, it's not really something that we're really happy about. And we literally had one more left on the list, and a friend of mine gave it to me, and I said, Michaela, you're taking off from school, put on a nice dress. We're going to this credit union. We're going to go together, because I was going by myself. I said, you're going to help me. And sure enough, they sat down with us, and they loved the idea, and thank God, because we were all about to rewrite the whole bank robbery thing. So.
But again, another testimony to everybody, they ask. And so many times you look at the locations, you think you can't get it, people aren't going to let you film, but you ask, and then you ask again.
Keep asking.
Keep asking.
Keep asking
till
till you get it, yeah.
And now you're saying that basically was around your budget and what you raised, or because I know people don't like to talk budget, but
yeah, no, we spent almost every dollar of that.
right. And it looks much greater than that. I mean, we've all seen film, different budgets, and you see film
we
for
put a
budgets
lot of our money. Luckily, a lot of those locations were for free. They just allowed us to, or like.
Right.
Like Montauk Point, we just went there illegally. But Adventureland, we shot there. We paid for that location, but that was actually the very first night that they were open in a year and a half. That we shot that.
and they let you come in and turn
They
on
did.
things?
Oh yeah. We had all kinds of permits and stuff like that. But they gave us some time on that very first night, and we had the whole park to ourselves. So it was kind of, we couldn't shoot anybody with masks on, so we needed the park empty.
Yeah.
It's like Chevy Chase going to Wally.
Exactly. Big moves out front. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there's some questions out in the audience, so I guess we'll pass it on.
Did you shoot with?
We shot on a Sony. I'm gonna forget. I'm not a tech guy. My cinematographer Ethan Kornfeld. He should be here. He's shooting right now. But what we did was the chip that he had, the sensor that he had in his camera was very close to what's in the Red camera. And we were going to rent a Red camera, and we decided to put more money into better lenses because it was the same sensor in his camera. So we ended up shooting with, I think, 5 different lenses, and we felt that was going to be a little bit more important than the actual camera itself.
And before we continue with questions, let's introduce everybody here. We didn't
Oh,
get
sure.
everybody up here.
I'll start down here. This is Jude Walsh. He plays Dollars for Days, the guy that doesn't tip me. My wife Tina, she plays Trish. Oh, and she's the Hitch voice as well. My son Dean, he plays Tyler. Michaela, of course, you know. This is my mother, Linda Shaw. She plays the librarian. We have Patty over here. Patty plays Mrs. G, aka June Cleaver. Yes.
Yeah, I was curious, in the scene where you confiscated the gun and you went to the shoreline, why didn't you not throw it into the river at that? Because that would have been an instinct that I would have done in terms of just
Well, yeah, that's a good question. It's a great question. I wanted the scene where Harry drops her off at Montauk and then gets back in the car and frantically tries to find out about who she is while she's at the shoreline with the gun, basically. I wanted that to mirror the later scene, which is what you're talking about. In the later scene, she's going through his letters finding about Harry at that point, and he's at the shoreline now with the gun. And the question that I'm hoping that you see it on the first view is, how desperate is this guy? Is he there just to get rid of it, or is he going to do something rash? And that's why the next shot after that, there's a little hesitation before he comes in.
That was great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. Okay. Just to piggyback off the camera.
Yeah.
Was it in Alpha Series 7 Mach 3?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm really.
Okay.
I know we used G series lenses. I can tell you that, but
Yeah.
I'm so not a technical guy. It's the worst part of what I do because I do so many other things, and the tech part I just.
It's okay. We're directors. Like, I got it.
I'll put you to my cinematographer though.
But I have like another question.
Sure.
So this is for like the both of you, because there were so many layers upon layers of like exposition that obviously like you can't fit into like an hour and a half film. Did you guys have like a show Bible, or did you guys have conversations about like what was going on like for her 16 years and then for the 16 years that you didn't see her, and then for that even before that because deleted scenes? I don't know. Just, yeah.
Everything is in the film, but we did discuss what their backstories were. You know, Harry is definitely a character that he's had two tragedies in his life. He's had this first one happen to him, and then there was a little bit more written about his marriage to Terry, who we don't really even hear her name in this. There was a little bit more written about that. I felt that giving the idea rather than going into too many details, because there is a lot of exposition, you know, and that can get boring, especially when it's only two people in the film, and that's what I was most worried about, is that people won't find it entertaining when it's only two people on the screen for 98% of the film. So there is a little bit more, but most of what we wrote is on the screen, is what you see there. I don't know if you want to.
And for Liz, I know that we definitely had conversations, like we wrote down on paper, like, okay, what even like comes down to like what type of music does she listen to, or like what's her hobbies and what she do, and that's actually where the running came into play, because I brought up, I was like, I think like Liz is like a badass, so she was like, oh yeah, I think she's a runner, and I think she takes out her running, like all like the hard stuff in her life on running. So that was definitely, I felt like could have been an empowering part of it almost.
Right, that's where the track star thing came, and the idea of the flashback was yours as well.
Yeah, the idea of the flashback and how it was silent, I thought could have been really powerful, and like definitely if I was able to pull it off, a cool shot.
We were hoping that in that one flashback, we don't have to tell the whole story of her mother being sick. We know that she died, we know that she was sick, but just a couple of quick visuals, hopefully you get to understand a little bit of Liz's pain.
Now, 17 years you wanted to do this, make films, acting experience.
Oh, well, more than 44 years, but 17, right.
That's longer than you exist. So, where did you come by this talent to fill the screen with this acting ability, and how did you get there?
That's a good question, actually. Well, I was a spoon in Beauty and the Beast.
No big deal.
Nothing to brag.
And she played Apollo.
Right. It's a musical.
But I never really acted before. I've always like somehow like wanted to be an actress. I mean, I've wanted to be a singer too, which does not work out.
And this is not to say she's not dramatic, because she's very dramatic.
But I feel like I related to the character a lot, that wasn't like a hard role to play. Like we have somewhat of a similar personality, so it wasn't that hard to play, and I'm a good memorizer, so.
We tried to write the characters close to our personalities. Obviously these things haven't happened to us, but everything was about accessibles. What could we do for free or cheap and we felt by writing it, we were the people that knew these characters the best.
Right.
So that's why we didn't go outside of us. Once we started, we did a proof of concept trailer a year before that, and we just took 10 scenes and shot them all in one 13-hour day, condensed it into a trailer, and we were convinced at that point. I mean, she does a test scream on the beach, and we were convinced that she would be able to play the role. And you know, I was hoping I just wasn't going to be too terrible to.
It's interesting. She brilliantly summed up acting in like 30 seconds. Like, you know, Spencer Tracy always said he was Spencer Tracy. He played a judge or a murderer. He was Spencer Tracy playing a judge or Spencer Tracy playing a murderer. It was just that simple, and you just kind of summed it up just like that, which is brilliant. It's simplistically brilliant. So, good job.
There's a question. Dominic, did you have a question?
Yes.
For the scene when they were in the library and you guys were looking through all the movies and DVDs,
Yeah.
were those the covers original that you guys made?
Nope, no, I made up 23 original covers for films that already exist, knowing that I could get away with like mentioning the title or showing the title, but not in the same font, not using the same pictures. So yeah, we ended up making 23 different inserts for DVDs, and the posters in Harry's storage facility. There's a Rocky, there's a Jaws, and a Reservoir Dogs poster in the background, and they're all just made up by me. Just so we can use the titles without, you know, infringing on copyright.
You actually can use them because they're made for public like showings, so you wouldn't have gotten in trouble.
You know, I used to work for Getty Images, and so working with photographers, I used to get so nervous about, you know, the photographer has different rights than the owner of the image. Like, there's so much that I was like, you know, I'm going to be as even the movies that you see them watching, they watch Bonnie and Clyde. So I did take pieces of the movie Bonnie and Clyde, but there's like 3 different versions. So I took the same scene from all three movies, flipped them, reversed them, put them out of focus, and recut them so that there's not one film that you're seeing there. And then of course it's out of focus,
Right.
and all new soundtrack as well. Because I was like, I'm just not going to get pinched. Like, it's taking me this long to make the movie. I'm not going to get pinched on something like that.
Smart.
Yeah, was there any thought of an alternate ending?
Originally, I wouldn't say an alternate ending. We didn't have the running originally at the end. The original ending was when Tyler opens the door to the house, and it was just going to cut to the title card. And Harry had finished his letter at that point. But when we then wrote in the fact that Liz was a runner, and we shot that segment, which was in the middle of our shoot, which we shot for 14 days. It was around day 6 or 7. And we got this long shot of her running down the dock, and it was supposed to look like maybe it's California. We just loved it so much, we were like, we have to change the ending. We have to put this at the end and show Liz that she has forward momentum now. She's not stuck anymore. She's moving. And of course, then you see the lighthouse in the background, and we didn't even plan for it to be there. And that's the Fire Island lighthouse. And we just said, it's too perfect. We have to use that last shot instead. So it was just a change, but not anything written as an entirely different ending.
What was the directing style like? Did you kind of hone in on any specific style? Were you playing around with improv?
We didn't improv too much. I mean, the great thing about doing this with her was that we used to rehearse lines at home all the time. So we would take a chunk of scenes and we'd be like, okay, Friday night, you know, let's go through all these. And she'd take the week to go through it, and I would take the week to go through, you know, maybe a dozen scenes or so. And then we would come to the table and rehearse them. At that point, some lines changed a bit because either we forgot them or we just said something different, but we started learning that we knew the characters so well in the way that what they were trying to say to one another is that sometimes the lines fit even better. And so we weren't like saying to ourselves, let's do some improv here, but it did happen sporadically, but more so in the rehearsals, and then came across on camera. In fact, there's an area where we dropped an entire page and a half of dialogue accidentally.
I think that happened to 2 things. That was at the dock and the diner.
Yeah. We messed up, and luckily you don't know it, and it's probably more exposition that we didn't need. So again, we were able to kind of circumnavigate that with some creative editing.
Right?
Let's ask the most important question about this film. What was it like as father-daughter with creative decisions, since you both have such an equal party? What was that like on set? Because I'm watching this, and this makes you going, man, me and my daughter, we'd be back to back at a certain point.
I'll let you go.
Yeah,
better.
open my mouth.
Well, so it was a hard shoot. I mean, not really a hard shoot. It was just a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and I had to keep it kind of professional. There were moments where I wanted to punch him and like stop, but obviously I didn't, and I pushed through it. And I think we can speak for like our whole crew, where we were done with each other for after those 14 days, because we were with each other for a lot.
Yeah.
A while.
Yeah. And I'll just say that I'm really lucky to have had the patience that she had. And what I keep coming back to, when we watch it, I always tell her, I say, I'm so proud of her performance and what she did. But more than that, it's the professionalism that she didn't treat it just because it's dad. Like, okay, we're just gonna have some fun and like this isn't important. She was very, very professional every day. Knew her lines backwards and forwards. And yeah, she got sick of me. Don't get me wrong, but she treated the entire crew, which is very small, with the utmost respect. And and I have to say that about our crew. It's so small that we all just had each other's backs, and we would not have been able to push through and get it done in 14 days the way that we did. So we just kind of had to lean on each other. We had to just trust each other. And
Something really special.
yeah, I'm very lucky that, like I said, that she was as patient and professional as she was.
Well, what's next?
I don't know. This is our first festival. So
Wow.
yeah. You guys are our first. So we're hoping that we get some buzz from here to move on to some more, and we'll see where the film goes. And my producers are very intrigued by doing something again. So we're hoping that we
Look forward to
can
it.
get something else done
Best
in the
of luck
next
to you guys.
year or two. Thank you.
This film speaks for itself, and we wish you the best of luck. And it's apparent to all of us that from here on out, this film is going to go places.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Oh, we have questions.
I have a suggestion.
Oh,
Sure.
Oh,
I think Monday you should come on the Long Island Breakfast.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
If you're in the neighborhood Monday,
You should.
come on and talk about
Yeah.
this. And
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. We might have to take you up on that. Thank you.
get off school Monday.